Lexington, Mass.
The line judge that.
The guy was from
hitting the
Lexington?
newts.
Yeah, but it wasn't the groin shot that took him out.
No, he fell and hit his head.
Landed on his head.
But out of a chair.
Yeah, they used to put him up on those little platforms.
Yeah.
And he was on a platform that's up a little bit. The one that Nell Bandian used to kick into linesmen's knees.
Took it and just
went over and cracked his head and died of a brain hemorrhage.
Because that's one of the things that we wanted to check from last week. Alice, we missed you quite a bit last week, dude. With, so
turns out we don't know anything without Google.
Yeah. So he right. So Stefan Edberg hit somebody with its serve, right? U.S. Open.
I think it
1983
US Open though, right? He wasn't in the actual. I think he was in the.
I
junior.
don't remember. That's more detail than I can keep in my Google brain.
Yeah.
You knew the guy was from Lexington, so that's a pretty.
So you knew that fact? The guy was from Mass.
It was in Lexington, Mass. That's what I heard. This could all be apocryphal at this point. I don't know.
While we get talking on that, so Ellis, a couple of fact checks for us there, buddy. One, how many finals did Murray played before he won a Grand Slam? We're talking about that, and I think it was 4 or 5 before he won one.
Yep.
Right, because we didn't know the answer to that one. And then I checked it, but Rafter won 2 U.S. Opens, and he was in the finals of 2 Australians. We knew there was 2, we just didn't know which ones.
Serve and volley.
2 finals of Wimbledon, sorry. That's where.
He never won Wimbledon.
2 finals, Ivanisevic and I don't know who else.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So 2 U.S. Opens he won. I think he won. After that, check on Rafter. So those. What are the fat checks we?
Who's the Canadian big server that he beat in the finals of the U.S. Open? I had his name 5 seconds.
Was it Greg Rosetsky?
Rosetsky.
Oh, Rosetsky.
Rosetsky. Yeah.
Andre Turin has a win over him.
Andre does?
Yeah.
I can see that.
In juniors.
Shout out to Andre, right there.
There you go. Right.
That's in juniors. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I can picture that Andre return a serve being all over Rosetsky.
Yeah.
I'm just tough, man. So that, are you with the Edberg thing or the Murray thing? Yeah, because we're talking, Mike, we're talking about Casper Ruud. He has 3 Grand Slam finals and then went to, because Murray had, I think 4, and then you must know this, Lendl must have had like 4 or 5 before he won one, right?
Lendl had a bunch before he finally.
Yeah, so then check on that too.
Yeah. I don't remember how many though. I couldn't.
I think they both had the same, like 4 finals before they won one, because Lendl was his coach when he won his first one. So that was a cool.
Oh, really?
I think it was one of those.
Yeah, 4.
4.
4 before he won one.
Murray? Yeah. So 4 finals before he won one.
Yeah, so he lost in the final of Wimbledon in 2012 and then won the U.S. Open in 2012 right after.
Okay.
And then what was the other one?
Ivan Lendl?
So what's the number we decided that you hit before? You can never win one because you don't think you can win a final.
I wonder what's the highest number of Grand Slams finals. That's got to be it.
I mean, it's a pretty heavyweight to
to
get.
get
I mean,
there.
even after it happens twice,
Right.
which, by the way, it's such a huge.
Yeah.
It's a big deal to be able to do that, but come on. I mean, everyone's talking about coming in. They're like, oof, a couple times, can't really do it. How do you do it then?
Right.
You know?
Does it say how many?
Lendl lost
So
4 in a row.
Lendl's off. So there you go. Yeah.
4 in a row.
4 in a row. So he had 4 and Murray had 4. Yeah, that's a lot of.
That is a lot.
Yeah. He didn't really have human emotions, though, so I don't think that really matters. He can just lose. He just was like.
He played in 19 finals and won 8.
Lendl did? Oh, wow. How about Murray? Murray won 3, and he must have had 13 finals, and he got 3.
If I were Lendl, I don't know if I'd be proud of that or embarrassed by that. That's a tough one. I mean, just to get there that many times, but win less.
I know, but you're
win
there,
less
though.
than
That's
half.
what we're talking
That's what we're
about.
talking about, yeah.
Time. It's what a.
Well, sure, but he won less than
Is the
half.
accomplishment just winning it, or is it partly getting there and beating everybody? I mean, you beat almost everybody to get there.
Yeah.
I think it's what category you get yourself into. Do you talk Grand Slam winners, or you talk, top 5 players? It's like, do you talk the higher end, the very top of tennis? And if you get to the Grand Slam final, that's, if you talk Grand Slam
To get
winners,
to
I'm trying
Grand
to
Slam
say.
finals, you have to be beating top players.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is if you're talking Grand Slam winners, if that's the topic of conversation, and somebody doesn't have a Grand Slam, right? So, because we're talking rarefied air, if you talk top 5 players, top 10 players, they got to Grand Slam finals, of course, that's a massive achievement. So I'm saying is like, okay, which angle we're looking at it.
Well, which one do you think is better?
Well, it depends
You
on what you
can't
talk.
really look. I mean, couldn't you?
If we talk great
you'd
players,
have
of
to-
course.
You'd have to win more than one, though, right? Because, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You get one, maybe you have your stick around, you're
Yeah, so
lucky enough
what-
to make it
let's-
through,
what-
but then outside of
so
that,
the
your
one-
career can maybe not be that great next
Yeah.
to someone who's lost in 10 finals, but you're always
Yeah,
putting
always.
yourself
You're right.
there.
That's a good point. I like that.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we talked about this last week, where I think you said it. Rude, on his way to the finals,
Yeah.
didn't play a top 10 player
For the first 2 Grand Slams, yeah.
for the first 2 Grand Slams. So he made it, but he made it through lower level players.
I think the only top 10 he beat in a Grand Slam is
So how much of an
Rune.
accomplishment is that to get through that? And then on the other side, Djokovic is going through all these top 10 players.
he has some Grand Slams that he did barely
So-
hit any, but yeah.
I guess you got to sort of nitpick and look through the details of it also.
I would be, if I won a Grand Slam, after all that training it takes, and people are like, well, he didn't really beat some of the top guys, I would be so pissed. I'd be like, screw you.
Yeah.
Honestly,
You
you,
get
win
that.
a Grand
But
yeah,
you're going to
you
get
win
that.
one.
But that's-
You
but-
win
People
one.
will say that.
But this is what we
Well,
talked
I'm not
last
saying
time.
right or wrong.
Right.
From our perspective, just
I
getting to a
think-
Grand Slam,
I think-
it's a
Correct.
win. That's the
Well,
truth.
I think people that don't win Grand Slams nitpick that. I think people that have won a Grand Slam probably see how hard it is and are like, dude, you want to know what? All right. So you didn't face someone that was in the top 5 of the world?
Yep.
What are you supposed to do about that?
Rude is 10 and 23 against players ranked in the top.
Well, that's not such a good stat.
Yeah,
There you
10
go.
and 23, right?
Thank you, Ellis.
Did you say Rude or
By the
Runa?
way, 8 of
Rude.
Rude. Yeah.
Yeah.
those are against Matteo Berrettini,
8 wins.
so I don't think that even counts.
See, there you go. So it's
Wow.
8 wins
out
against
of
Berrettini.
10.
Right.
Oh, no. That's a lie. That's his rank, not.
Yeah.
Okay.
But can you check Rude Grand Slam versus top 10? They may not have that stat. Oh, we're picking on this guy. This guy got a 3
Yeah, I know.
3 grand.
That's what I mean. Give me
I
a
know.
break.
I know.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's move
he
on.
pops this podcast on. He's like, what a bunch of assholes.
Yes.
Moves on. Find some music to listen to. Like,
Have you played in the tournament? Have you been in a Grand Slam?
They actually showed him at a concert this past
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
Did you see that? They showed
No.
him. Is that what he's saying? Oh, so it was one of those posts with him. He was in with a concert. He was singing and
I got
You can see-
swept in districts by a guy in 2 knee braces and elbow braces, and I have an opinion on Rude. Guys, like,
so true,
Yike.
so true.
He doesn't really have wins against any top players in Grand Slams.
Just Rune, right? Just yeah, but Rude versus Rune. That's it. Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to bring in initially and then go from there, how we talked last week, the change quickly to grass and the change in points, the amount of, what do you think the average rally drops by? Grass versus clay?
70%.
70%.
Yeah.
That's big.
I watched a set last night, Tiafoe versus Korda, and they were going so fast. It was just serve plus 1. It was 7-6,
Right.
and it was just
What tournament was that?
Queens.
Is that the same one that Murray's in?
Murray lost.
What-
He
what
lost first round to Diminar.
Same
It's
tournament.
first or second round to Diminar, Alex Diminar, yeah.
Because I watched some of that one, and they were grinding like they were on clay.
Diminar and
Murray.
And Murray, were there?
Yeah, there was like
He must be
20
must,
ball rallies.
Must be Queens because he plays in England.
Yeah.
There, yeah. There's 2 going on right now. It's Halle and Queens. And Medvedev won in 3 sets yesterday in Halle. He's his top seed in Halle. And in Queens, you have Alcaraz on the top. He had a 7-6 in the 3rd win, right? 2 days ago?
Yeah, 2 days ago. Then
Do
he
you-
just cleaned up today.
Yeah.
Demonar's
Which that guy's good, man. Jiri Lecheka, that guy's
Yeah.
that's a good up-and-coming player.
Yeah.
Demonar's the defender, though, right? Defending champ
Is he? I
at
don't know.
Queens.
Maybe.
I think he is.
Really?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's
Ellis can double check me. I
Give
thought
me
he won it last
20
year.
guesses, I wouldn't have gone to that guy.
The only reason I
on
know
grass.
that I was watching that match.
Yeah.
And Rune is second seed. He won against the Brit Ryan Peniston. I think it's a lucky loser, that guy. And then Korda beat Tiafo. It might be a Korda.
Florida. No, who's the defending champ? Who do you beat?
Berrettini. Oh yeah, because Berrettini played last year and got COVID before Wimbledon. Yeah.
I was wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, because he
He beat Philip
Krajinovic
Yeah.
Yeah. in the final. Yeah, that guy's a good player, Krajinovic.
He is.
So it could be an Alcaraz Korda.
I'd like
Korda's
that.
making his way back from Australia. He had a couple of. He just started on a clay, but he didn't do good. I think he just had one win since he got back from that wrist injury. But they were saying that they try to bulk him up a little bit. But that guy's smooth, man.
He
I
is.
like watching him.
That
play.
guy's
I do too.
so smooth.
I do too. You have no
It's-
clue he could be
Yep.
getting killed or killing someone. You don't know.
Yep.
He's just so level, even tempered.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on the ladies' side. I saw some.
Now, should we remind you that Korda's father was suspended from the tour for using steroids?
Was he?
Yeah, 6'3", 145 pounds. Just thinking of steroids didn't do that.
Right?
Yeah,
Didn't work on him.
the cameras.
When did that happen?
Back in the 90s, 80s, 90s.
But he won.
You do that split jump, you know.
Oh, yeah.
He won Australian Open, right? Which to 98, 99?
Boy, yeah, my memory doesn't handle that.
Check.
I wouldn't think so either, but he's come up with some dates where I'm like, I don't even.
Peter Korda. It's spelled PTR and then Korda with a K. Aussie Open win. Because he's just doing the jump.
Yeah.
It was a good. He had a good.
Yeah.
I think I know he won Yale because I saw him
Oh yeah,
down in
when it was
Connecticut.
when it was the New
when he was in
Haven.
New Haven.
Yeah,
Which one did he win?
98 Australian.
98 Australian Open. Just lucky. That and then I'm trying to think. I was going back to we were talking like winning a slam. Guys that won a slam. Obviously, there's a bunch of them in the last 20 years because we went over that. But before that, do you remember one of those guys just won the Grand Slams and then the Grand Slam and just remember Gaston Gaudio?
oh yeah.
He won the French
Yeah,
over
Gaudio.
Korea.
Yep.
5 sets.
Yep.
And then I know that year he played Fed at a year-end finals, and Fed beat him 0-0. I think it was in Houston or something. I don't know. It was, yeah. So he won a Grand Slam, and then, but again,
Right.
win a Grand Slam.
Right, exactly. But I mean, I don't know. Can you get lucky and win a Grand Slam? That's really lucky. I mean, you got to be able to play at a certain level, but
Yeah, I mean, win 7 matches, 3 out of 5.
I mean, it's
that's-
more impressive to stick around,
Yeah.
right, for a
Right.
certain amount of years than just
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Was,
Maybe to win.
Mike, do you remember, was Corey up 2-0 and choked that one?
Yeah.
He was,
Yeah.
right?
2 sets to love.
2
That's
sets to
right.
love.
Yeah.
And he came back.
Yeah, that's the guy who kind of faded too fast as well.
He did.
For the amount of talent that guy had.
I think he sued ATP a while back, and he got $11 million or something for something. I can't remember what.
Who?
Guillermo Coria.
I'm not sure I even remember.
He good on clay. Like as Nadal was coming out, 2004, 2005, 2003. He was, and yeah, was that 2004 that he won? Gaudio won that 2004. He won
Yeah, I don't know.
the French Open, I think so. And because in Ferrero was in 2003 on the French Open,
Mhm.
and before that was Guga, right?
Yeah. Guga won
Guga
a
Kuerten.
couple times. Kuerten won that a couple times. Yeah.
3. Yeah, 3.
Could be.
I bet it's 3. I bet it's 3.
This last
You're not-
one's a good one. So he is
Who's this?
Korea.
Corey. Yeah.
He is suing
Yeah.
Universal Nutrition
Universal Nutrition. Yeah.
for selling multivitamins that he says were contaminated with.
He's suing for multivitamins contaminated with steroids. Okay.
Been made by the company,
Yeah.
and he was, suspended for doping.
Yeah, he was suspended, and I think
He's saying that's why.
yeah. Did he settle? thought it was like a multi-million-dollar settlement or something.
I mean, that
He
can't
is?
really be the case, right? That's just
Or it can be the case. Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reached a settlement. Yeah. So what's the settlement? That's I knew there was something like that. Yeah, because he got.
So that
he was a
the
he was a
company can
tiny
just say, well,
tiny.
you should have done
tiny
better
bit.
research and known we're doing this.
I mean, he was
Yep.
suspended at 19 when he was ranked 30th in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. So that was.
Doesn't say how much they settled for.
Yeah. On the. So yeah, clay and grass. Is that what we started with? Veered off on. Yeah. So the grass score points are just. I mean, that camera is a little grass score points are. That's reddish, isn't it? Yeah.
But even now, though, the grass courts are faster than. I mean, sorry,
Slower.
Yeah.
firmer is what I meant to say, and ball bounces up more than they used to years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have two baseline grinders like Murray and DeMonor, you could actually have a backcourt rally. The old Wimbledon courts and stuff, you couldn't.
Well, isn't it that grass you were talking about?
The ryegrass.
Last
Yeah,
time?
it's different.
Ryegrass is
Right, yeah.
different.
And that's everywhere now. That's what all grass courts are.
I think most of them. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if all.
I think Longwood has like 3 of the original, the other grass, Thescu, or I don't know, St. Augustine, I don't know what it is, but it's a different grass, and it's like the old school stuff, and it's like playing on ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Longwood still has it. Essex, that's what they have.
Yeah.
And it's real grass. Well, not real, but the fast one, just the balls. And it's also the footing is interesting there, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just that if you don't have the right shoes, man, like a lob is so efficient because just that little extra second or tenth of a second to change direction and change your weight to go backwards, it can get you on grass.
It can be nerve-wracking to move like that on grass. You're afraid you're gonna
Oh yeah,
Right.
oh yeah.
little slip and then a catch and you're
Yeah.
blowing
Yeah.
your knee out.
And that's what we're saying about coming back from a long. We were talking last week about Nishikori and Raonic coming back from almost 2 years, both of them out, coming back on grass. I mean, you can look at it two ways: short points, but
Mhm.
also like tricky surface too,
Yeah, high risk.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we got the fact checks. That was good. Thanks, Alice. we had quite a
Feel
few.
like
There were a couple of more.
It's a heck of a production team.
I know.
tell you.
I know. So we got the Edberg that he did hit the umpire. We'll get some updates a little bit. And then did you guys see the Harley tournament? They've had a Roger Federer Day yesterday. That was pretty cool.
No, I didn't
Oh,
say
I
that.
didn't
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that.
yeah. At a Roger Federer Day, they had an alley name after him, and he was there, and everybody was standing ovation and interviews. He was saying something pretty cool. He was like, "Yeah, I haven't like sometimes I find myself check the scores 3 times a day, and then a week goes by, and I'm busy with the kids, and I totally forget about it." And he'll say like, "I haven't got to the point yet where I call a friend to hit some balls. Like I haven't hit anything."
Good for him.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just, yeah. Said he thinks that the game is moving very, very fast. But it was a cool little interview that I saw a little bit. It was,
I think he gets back into the game somehow at some point.
I think he is connected with it big time. So he
Coaching or anything, or didn't he not have a coach for huge chunks of his career?
possibly, but I think he had a good,
Right?
he had a good amount of coaches. But he might have had some periods that he
I thought,
didn't,
like, yeah.
because he had to start with Tony Roach, right? Severin Luthi was there with him the whole time.
Right. Peter Carter when he was young.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But maybe he was in between.
Yeah, he was waiting for.
That was when Roach left him.
Did he?
I
or
think there was
just
a little
the-
lull where he didn't
Yeah.
have a coach.
Maybe.
Edberg,
Yeah, maybe
you're
you're right,
right.
Kev. Yeah.
Edberg was in there when Fed felt like he had to serve and come in a little bit
Yep.
more. Edberg was.
Oh yeah, that's right.
part of the team.
Edberg.
But who is
Paul Annacone.
Who's the Aussie?
Cahill.
Cahill. He wanted Cahill.
He wanted Cahill,
yeah.
but he couldn't get him because Cahill was already with somebody. So he kind of left his coaching position open, hoping Cahill would eventually come. But I guess they never.
Oh, is that why he
Yeah,
didn't have it?
that's-
Yeah.
that- yeah,
So I
I
knew
don't
he
know if
wanted.
there's
I
any
knew he
truth to
wanted
that,
him.
but-
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
I wonder who was coaching at the time that he think he'd.
I think
You
it
heard that
was.
Fed wanted you. You might be like, whoever your coach, you might be like,
Now that Mike is saying that. Yeah, I know.
I can't remember.
He
who-
might have
who-
been saying they didn't want to travel because of his kids were the age.
I
that
think
he
you're right.
wanted to stay with them.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah,
that could
It
be.
was a travel.
Yeah.
Travel thing, yeah. But and how about this whole stuff with Simona Halep, man? That they keep her, they don't give her a hearing. Are you following that a little bit or no?
I followed it a little bit.
It's 9 months
yeah.
now. So they
Yeah.
suspended her for doping, and she's like, "Look, I've never done it." Coaches came to her defense. I'm a person that always, and they won't give her a hearing. They keep looking for second, so she can't play. Unfortunately,
How long has it been?
9 months. And yeah, if you look that up, Alice, you'll see like the
So
Simona
when she
Halep
tested,
positive, but
positive?
it was in some sort of, I don't know. That she was like, look, she brought evidence that it was not the case, and they would not give her a hearing.
based on
And that's,
what?
I don't think they give her much. She's, you'll see her on social media and see the coaches like, just give her the chance to. 9 months when towards the end of your career.
But
That's,
it wasn't the circumstance almost the same thing we were just talking about, like nutritional supplements,
I think
where she
something
got
like that.
some bad. And what happens is in these places where they manufacture, they might have this big bin of ingredients that they use, and maybe some of the stuff is more high performance. It might be on a banned list, but it's not banned at GNC.
Correct.
You just can't put it in your body. Well, they make a whole big pile of that. They clean it all out, then they make whatever, the other stuff, the organic or I don't know what, but something that's not on a banned list. But you can have that cross-contamination.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of has Halep. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the same thing that got, what's his face, back in the 90s. It wasn't,
Corda.
yeah, it wasn't what they had in the bottle. Corda took steroids. But the
Corda,
stuff in
yeah.
the bottle
Yeah, yeah.
wasn't bad, but it got contaminated with other stuff produced in the same, factory.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what
That
caused
probably, yeah, that's probably happening a lot. That it's not even caught. Like, no, I'm not talking about like the doping. I'm talking about not cleaning fully the
Right.
right.
Well, it seems like that should be, you shouldn't be punished for that.
Yeah, I guess they won't hear.
Right.
They won't hear her out.
I guess from the other end, they're like, that's what everyone's gonna say. If
That's true.
what else are you gonna say? You're not gonna be like,
Yeah.
you got me. You're like, no. I'm on. That's for my, my sports supplement I'm taking.
We what do you have then?
So she's been charged. She has 2 doping charges.
Yeah.
And
2 doping charges for Simona Halep.
Yep, and the ITIA is saying basically
There's
they want both charges heard together, so that they're
that's what they didn't want both
Yeah,
be
so
heard
that-
together.
so that
Is
they
that
don't, waste time with multiple hearings.
okay. How about wasting her time? 9 months.
And I'm sure they're all very busy.
Yes.
That's what I mean. How many?
Yeah.
Bodies,
Yeah.
bodies, yeah, they're always so busy.
Do you think, speaking of the line umpires there, because they're gonna disappear? Do you think, right? It has to. It's gonna, with technology, is gonna take over,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Totally, you mean? Have no.
No, you're gonna have the chair umpire,
Yeah.
but we're not too far, right, from this. No more line judges.
I guess.
Yeah, pandemic proved you don't need them.
Yeah,
You don't have line judges out there
That's-
wearing masks.
yeah. In 5 years, probably you have new players coming in, and they just be like, it just to me like maybe because we're used to it. Feels like it's a little bit more of a show that we have so many people in there. Because you see some of those tournaments where you don't have those umpires, and the lines are called automatically.
Feels weird.
It's weird. It's
Yeah.
a little lonely is not the word, but just. But I think that they're gonna disappear, right? I think everything is
Well, some
headed that way.
You watch any YouTube video on like bad line calls, and you're just overwhelmed by the number of missed calls by an umpire literally sitting on the line. It's you can do way better than that. I mean,
Mhm.
you can't
That's true.
expect the human eye to pick, not at the pace the ball's flying at.
Yeah,
now.
it's moving fast.
Yeah.
I think they're volunteers, a lot of them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Why would you volunteer for that?
there's a lot of volunteer work. On
I mean,
I
you're
get,
just
I get to be out there really close while Curious, yells at me.
right.
that is true.
And you're not. I don't really know much about it, but you're not watching the match, really. You're like
Yeah,
your eyes
Yeah,
must
on
be
your line.
fixed on
Yeah.
yeah,
your line.
yeah.
That like you're not just like sitting back, and then it happens, and you're like, oh, I know it's really close. Like you're on that every single time, which is not enjoyable. It seems so stressful. Like I would think there's no way I'd volunteer. Are we sure they're not paid?
A lot of them are volunteers. I know that, but I mean,
Like I figured the
some of them-
ball girls and boys are, but I figured that
check on that too. Yeah.
like the lines, the people that can change the outcome of the match. Like you don't have some special training.
That's a good point. I hope they're paying
Where
paid
you're
now.
like-
They do get paid. I think
Like,
they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I can't. Like I'll volunteer and then go and do that. Meanwhile, I'm like, you
They're
gotta
like,
have
"What's
some
your training
sense
guy?"
of knowing. I don't know. There's got to be a little bit of an art to watching the ball off the strings and then finding the line. You don't want just anybody.
I can
out
just
there.
picture Kev out there
know.
calling the lines and then looking at the player and going, "You should just challenge."
Yeah,
the call."
I'm just
I was just watching the
you know what? I
point.
got caught up in the point.
Yeah, good point.
Give me a
They make $20 a day.
They do,
That's it.
Or no, sorry, an hour.
but all of them. Oh, that's good. So at least they're getting paid.
Didn't we?
But there's got to be some
There's gotta be-
volunteers. Then
I don't
or
think
training.
so.
There's no training
No,
in that.
Has
Come
to be
on.
at the tour level, the high, the
Yeah.
big events there has to.
I thought we had a member here that was doing that,
Yeah, Ann.
right? And what's the last name?
Yeah, I got the first name. You
Yeah,
do the
Ann.
last.
Yeah.
Tall Ann.
Yeah, yeah. The
No,
kids
no.
played here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, she was.
She was a line judge. She was traveling
Yeah.
to tournaments.
Yeah.
No, I thought
She
she was
also
like a
did the lot-
USTA like roving official.
She did that.
She
for
did that
local
first, and then
colleges
she was doing like tour events.
Yeah,
Yes.
like
Yeah,
World
yeah.
Team Tennis. That 2 weeks she would travel.
Man, that is high stress. I don't know why someone would want to.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, they think they're in that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if that's what you're looking to in training, do you aspire to be a chair umpire? Because they make good money, don't they?
I think
And they travel.
Chair
and the tournaments
umpires?
put them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what the
Yeah.
rules are with chair umpires. Like, you walk into a restaurant and there's other players in the restaurant. Do they have to like turn and walk out?
Oh,
Like they- I would- I
like
would bet-
interaction. You're right.
I would
Personal
bet they
connection.
have to have zero interaction other than they meet them at the net and say, okay, we have television timeouts and heads or tails, let's go. They have to be like so excluded from all player areas, I would think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right?
So
But
yeah, the Fed's not going to take them to dinner. Buy him a drink. You could
Right.
like that could go south pretty fast.
I saw it was one of them that it was an umpire and he turned manager, but I think he was doing both for a little bit. But that's maybe I'm wrong on the timing. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he gave that up. But I would look at it as a conflict of interest if.
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely is.
And
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't, maybe I'm wrong. I know there was one of them that did that. It's, I don't know if it was
You think
Spanish or
those guys
French.
make a pretty good living? You think you get paid? I mean, your lines people are getting $20 an hour.
Yeah.
You think there's a
I would
huge
think so.
jump to
The
be-
top umpires that we see,
Oh yes.
they're at
Yeah.
every tournament, like week to week. They got to be making a decent living.
There's some good ones out there, man.
Yeah,
There's some good ones there, and they know. I think all the tournaments have to put them up.
of course. Yeah.
Everything, all
Yeah,
the
I mean, you're
expenses,
traveling,
right? You're
pay for really
traveling,
nice
everything.
places.
Yeah, all nice
Yeah.
places. You're following the good weather all the time,
Right.
most of the time, right? Other than Europe in the fall.
$72,000 to $84,000 a year.
$70,000 to $84,000 a year.
What do you think? You get a match a day?
But there's bonuses, I'm sure, and
Well,
Yeah, I'm like
more,
a final
pocket
or
too.
a
It's
big-
all in your pocket. You
more
don't
than
have
a
any
match,
expenses.
Kev.
Generally working around
More than a
100
match a
days
day.
year.
You think?
how much? 100?
100 days a year.
100 days a
Right?
year.
Don't you think more than a match a day? Because when we've walked around the U.S. Open, they come and do a match, and then they might move to another.
I think
court
so. Yeah, I think they get a
and do
break
another
and then
match
yeah.
and do. Yeah, they're doing a lot. 100 days for
Yeah.
82 grand plus expenses, paid expenses. It's not bad.
Traveling the world, get the miles on.
That's not
Yeah,
bad. That really isn't bad at all.
I mean, think about it.
Right.
Yelled at, maybe end up on Netflix.
Yeah,
Yeah, still
That's right.
stressful.
it is. It is. 'cause
Although,
you-
I mean, I guess as there's more computers and doing
Technology,
stuff,
yeah.
there's less.
they're just basically
you have
becoming
to-
managers of the score. They don't.
Right.
Because you used to see them, like
And the
sometimes the
rules.
linesman would make a call and they'd come run out of the chair and they'd
Yeah.
like, dude, really? Like, you weren't even close.
They're
but
like,
they find, and then go back to their chair. But if it's all,
Automated.
automated, you don't even really, you're overseeing the match or keeping people in line.
Yeah, you're babysitting,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
but it's still always your fault. You know.
Right. And when it goes haywire, it can be,
Well, we talked about last time about the French Open one. they made
They-
the call
yeah.
there of
Yeah.
disqualifying. That's a bad call. That's a bad call. But people are over it.
Oh, that was the women's doubles where she just
Just tap the
Yeah.
ball.
all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See the way he described it. That's
Yeah.
what we were talking about. He
Just
didn't
tap
even.
it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how the way she did it.
If
Like
you hit
little-
under
a
the
little
ball, it
cut.
should not be a hit.
Right.
If you hit under the ball,
Right. That's the
You just
softest
trashed
way.
my whole game.
That's the softest way. You can hit something.
Oh, you're supposed to come over it?
Didn't to connect to a while ago when we were talking about Mats Weilander, as you called him.
What?
Who called? He had never. Didn't Mats Weilander? He was reading his name from a guy who's won multiple Grand Slams. And Ellis has got his face right in the corner. He's like, yeah, some guy, Mats Weilander.
yeah,
What, dude? Didn't he not really drive the ball on his backhand side? Didn't he predominantly slice it?
No, he
Didn't
had a
not?
great two-hander.
He had a
He had a beautiful slice. He was one of the early kind of adopters of, as a two-hander to also have a pretty penetrating, first
Really?
time a
Flat
penetrating
tui. It
slice.
was a flat tui
But
that
man,
would
you
come
come to
through.
Was
the
it?
net and he
Yeah.
would roll a two-hander past you every
Really?
time.
I feel like he didn't.
He was tough.
He was nasty.
he was, man. 7 Grand Slams is not no joke.
Yeah.
No joke. That's
Tell that to Ellis.
Never heard of it. Still don't know.
7 Grand Slams, and this guy, a tennis fan, can't pronounce your name.
I'll test your memory, Michael. Who were the other three of the Swedes? Weren't there like the 4 horsemen?
You mean after Borg, the guys coming in?
Correct. Mats was one of them.
Like Edberg.
Okay.
Is that the area you're talking
Yeah.
about?
There was 4 of them.
Joachim Nystrom.
Okay.
And, oh, man, you couldn't throw a rock and not hit a Swede. There's so many. Lundgren was a good
No.
Swede.
Will you look that up, Ellis? I'm wondering how many Grand Slams they had collectively, because they were like
And
the
this-
4 powerhouses.
And this is before.
Who am I looking up?
look at the
Swedish
Swedish.
powerhouses?
I got Swedish tennis players here, and John McEnroe popped up.
No.
Yeah.
I forgot the nickname of
Different.
them. Were they
Didn't he hit the
4
king-
speed, 4
the
speeds?
king of whatever of Sweden when he threw that fit and he cracked a drink and it went into the crowd and he hit the king of Sweden?
McEnroe did?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there were so many good street.
So this was
Henrik
after
Nystrom.
Borg?
Sunstrike.
Yeah.
Like as a reaction to
There
him,
was,
like he
there
was
was
so
4
good
of them,
that
like
now
4
there
top
was-
players, and they say they were going to take over.
Right, but there were way more than 4, right?
Correct,
After
but they-
Borg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same era, the same time, those
Ken
4 of them.
Carlson. That guy was unbelievable on clay.
Did he wear the
Mm-mm.
he didn't wear the sports
No.
goggles?
Any luck, Ellis? Who are the 4? We're way off.
Well, there's
No, he doesn't want to pronounce their names, Kevin. You-
I know. I'm actually, this is my favorite part. Go.
I don't have a mic today. I can say it nice and quiet.
yeah, Thomas Johansson. That was 2000. What was it?
Yeah,
Two-
that's a
Johansson
different
got
era.
it.
was that a Aussie Open?
O2 Australian Open.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back in the 80s, you look at like the top 50 players, like 20 of them were
Yeah.
Sweden. Some
Sweden.
like, maybe
Yeah.
not
Sweden.
that off, but
Yeah.
there's probably 20 of them in the top 100 back in that time. There's so many.
Yeah.
So now do we have any?
Swedes. Oh wow, that's a good point. I
Yeah.
don't think so.
The Yeamer brothers?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Carlson.
Carlson. Yeah.
He wasn't the guy that did he smoke butts on changeovers?
No.
That was Karsten Brush.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know that name.
There was a guy.
Yeah. I think there's a I think that's
Man, would that be demoralizing if you were his opponent? You're like, toweling off, drinking Gatorade, and your opponent's like just casually smoking a cig. You'd be like, what? Am I losing to this guy right now?
I think there was I
Yeah,
think yeah.
Vince Van Patten. There was a TV show
Vince
back.
Van Patten.
Yeah, there was a TV show like 8 is Enough or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
8 is enough.
Yeah,
The
he was
father
the,
of that show was Van Patten, maybe Dick Van Patten. His son, Vince Van Patten, was on tour for a while. He used to drink black coffee by the mug. He would drink like 12 things of coffee during a match.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like
Wow.
Just for the caffeine?
yeah.
rush?
He's probably partying and all night.
Right.
So but
I think the caffeine
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't necessarily translate just into energy. You get like
Right, you
I
get-
get,
look
you
at
get like
Ellis's
jittery
face
and you
over
don't
there.
I feel like you don't want
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel I can't think of a worse feeling than
Yeah.
feeling
Jittery.
jittery
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're on the court.
You see some of them sometimes get a Coke. Bonfils used to get a
Yes.
Coke.
One
drink
piece used to.
Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drink
but
a Coke.
for
I think
just
it-
little sugar
I
to
could
like
think
get
it's
Maybe,
sugar,
yeah, a little
little bit of
sugar.
sugar.
Yeah, but not.
Have you guys
get-
discussed the Zverev injections?
No,
Injections of what?
I don't know about him.
He's diabetic, and it was the last. Was it maybe the French?
French in the semis, yeah.
Yeah, he was told he was not allowed to inject himself while on the game changer, as they insisted he leave the court. And he's like, I've been doing this since I was 4 years old.
right.
What are you telling me? I have to leave the court all of a sudden? So they make him go into the side bathroom and
For what
Yeah.
reason though? What's
he's
their
diabetes.
No,
No,
but
no,
why
no,
wouldn't they
no,
want
no,
to do
what's
them?
Oh,
his-
they felt it was setting a bad precedent. You know,
The needles and
kids would see drugs. I don't know, something foolish.
But
I'm
it's-
sure.
But he's a diabetic. He's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
He's not shooting heroin. That would be a bad example. That's actually a pretty
Yeah.
positive example. It's a
Yes.
guy. He's playing a
Taking
sport.
care.
He's
Right.
dealing with it. He's
Yeah.
giving what his body needs, and he's.
Yep.
yeah.
Although, don't they have a thing now where you don't even have to do that?
Yeah,
Right? You just
some of
wear
those
it?
patches, and it automatically it'll
I
read
wonder
your
if you
insulin
do
level.
high effort
And
and
then
you
it-
sweat and you
You'd
can
need
put it
like
on.
a more
Yeah.
a bigger dose.
bigger or
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah, he just tapped it into his quad. He just tapped and kind of pump, pulled it out. Done. That was it. It was like 3 seconds to do what he needed to do.
Right.
Chair umpire got the whatever tournament director came out like, yeah, you can't do that in public anymore.
that tournament director is not hitting some.
Yeah,
that French Open tournament director is not.
Yeah. I'm surprised there wasn't a little bit of blowback on that. Actually,
There was.
There
Was there?
He lobbied the tournament and they changed its stance. So now he can
Oh,
He can do it. Okay.
use insulin to manage his type 1 diabetes, by the way, whenever he needs to.
yeah.
Well, we gotta give Venus props, man. 43, coming back, playing tournaments, winning some rounds.
Hmm?
she's 43.
43.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
she played Georgie in the first round here, and she won. I don't know, 6 1/3, something like that, and that knee's not holding up too good. But I guess she keeps
I
on
felt
winning.
like the other day I passed by the TV a few times and she was on the ground and she was getting
She getting treatment.
worked on.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
But hey, 43 men to go, and that's
He'll
amazing.
be out there. Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, well, line judges, all that. I'm not sure where we started, where we went. Swedes, the 4 horsemen.
I think this started off with Fed.
Yeah, at
We're on a
Halle.
tangent.
Yeah.
On the Fed subject, any of you guys use Waze?
I do a little bit.
GPS.
Fed is a voice on Waze.
No.
no
You
kidding.
have to use it. It is the funniest thing. I used it just going down to Burlington to row 34, and Fed got me there, and he says these little quips, taking the exit, stick to the game plan.
Oh, really?
Oh, take a right-hand turn, just like a second serve. It's awesome. It is so cool.
How did you find that out?
Yeah.
It came up on my app saying you could have Fed as a voice now, so I switched it over to Fed.
You don't have to. You don't have to pay for it or anything.
No,
Because it'd be fun, but I'm
no,
not paying.
no, it's free.
$2.99 a month to have Fed.
It's
give me
free.
direction.
It's pretty cool hearing his voice while you're
but
driving.
Yeah.
What good thinking there, because talking about like really expanding everything, like, wow. That's good thinking on those guys' end, man, to put Fed on that.
Correct.
I heard there was a big lobby for, it still may happen, I'm not sure, for him to commentate at Wimbledon. There was a couple of networks that
Yeah.
trying to pay him
Right.
to commentate for them, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. So I guess he's keeping busy, man. He has the Laver Cup.
Yeah.
He's signing up a bunch of young talent with OnCloud. He's got Shelton. He's got Iga Swiatek. So the management company with Tony Gossick, they're getting after it. I'm not sure what else they have in the works, but there's.
Yeah, he's going to keep busy. I just don't
He's
know
gonna-
how
yeah.
you approach Fed with like, okay, we're going to pay you this amount, as if that amount means anything.
Correct to
To
him.
Right. You got to come at something that he's
Yeah.
really interested in doing.
Right. Yeah. You better have.
What a great position
purpose.
to be in.
Yeah,
By the
for
way,
sure.
be like, it's
Yeah.
money's off the table. You just got to find something that I really want to.
He does some promotion for Switzerland too, right?
Yep.
That's
Tourism.
tourism, yeah.
Meanwhile, in 30 years, some kid's going to be like, he was a tennis player? I thought that's the dude that gives me directions in my Jesus.
Yeah, that's who knows what else, but that's such a good idea.
Yeah.
To making use of your voice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm intrigued on what other voices I can get now.
Oh, you can get a
That's
lot
it. There you go.
I didn't know. I hate that lady's voice. I'm gonna mix it up. See what I can find.
Yeah, that's a lot of them. I saw a clip of Safin going old school a little bit. He was hitting a good ball.
Yeah.
He was back on the court, not that he's coming back for anything, was just hitting.
How old is that guy? He retired kind of early, right? He wasn't that old when he retired.
He didn't like how the tour turned a little too professional. He just wanted to party, and
Right.
he said, he's like, we used to be rock stars. It's like now it's just like everybody's their own team, and
Yeah.
I still remember when
That's pretty funny.
when he was at the U.S. Open once, and the chair umpire kept on like, you play, you don't play. He's like, what are you doing, man? I could be in my hotel room just smoking a cigar, something like that. I was like, man, that's. Yeah, he retired at 30, I think. I think it's 43. I think it's 43. And then he won 2, right? What did he win? 2000.
When the Australian beat Fed.
Beat Fed in the semis, 2005.
Yeah.
And
The Fed tweener.
Yes, that was the match
Cost
point
him
tweener.
that, yeah.
He beat Hewitt in the final there. I think 4 sets. And I think he beat 2000 U.S. Open, right? So he had 2 Grand Slams.
U.S. Open.
2000 U.S. Open
Yeah.
and 2005 Aussie Open. He was hitting the heck out of that ball.
Yeah.
Roddick retired around the same age, right? That was kind of the age to retire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Back in that time.
Yeah, back in the early
I think guys were
10s.
maybe it's not necessarily true, but it's a perception of mine that they were on tour younger because they didn't have to be as physical, so they could be a pro tour player 14, 15, 16. And now you're just not physically ready to do that. So you get on the tour later, maybe after college, and that you should be able to go well past your 30s, like a lot of the guys are now.
Yeah. Mike, I'm curious. We're going to shift to some other stuff, but
Can we turn the heat up a little bit?
I know. Yeah. It is.
Give it 20 more minutes and you'll.
Yeah. When you see Kev's beads there, about because I keep coming back to this one, coaching in tennis now, and one, is it good, not good? I want your opinion on that, and then 2, where does it lead? And fast forward in 3-4 years, do you have now multiple stat holders? And we brushed over this, but
Yeah, I don't have a reference point for what you're asking. You're talking about like if you work at a club like ours and you're a tennis
I'm
pro,
talking on tour.
On tour, is it?
On a tour, because
as a coach, traveling coach.
Well, they allow coaching now
Right.
during the match.
Yep.
Right. So they allow that now. How wide is that door going to open? Because now they just talk with them.
Right.
What if now there's a guy's like, you know what? I find a little niche here. So how about I check live stats, and I'll send you the live stats, or I'll tell your coach the live stats,
Right.
and that
Yeah.
evolves and develops to.
Yeah.
You have now a team full of people that tell you what to do. Where's your second serve going? What's the speed of this guy?
Yeah.
Will they evolve there or no? Was it?
Yeah, and I think once you open the door by, they did I think they allow coaching the way it's formulated now, although I think on the women's tour they allowed the coach to come onto the court during a game
Yes.
changeover once or twice. Once you open that door, you can't close it, so we can't stop it, I don't think, at this point. I've just never been a fan. I think you should be out there figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think on your own. You got to figure. You throw me whatever stats you want. That doesn't mean that it's right in that moment.
Yeah.
Maybe statistically it is, but you got to have a feel for the game.
Yeah.
You got to be
course.
your own coach and coach your way through it.
Yeah.
So, but I think they did it in part because there were so much hand signals and
It was happening.
people were moving around the stadium. Following Steffi Graf's dad from this corner to this corner to this corner because he was telling Steffi what to do and exactly.
Guy's got an itchy face.
Yeah.
So that was maybe their weak attempt at putting a stop to that. Let's open it up, and just let people do it. I've just never been a fan of it. I think the players should have to have done their homework before they walked out there, and then go out and figure it out. I just like that better. But that's I'm
Yeah. No, that's kind of
Yeah, I
like
mean, it's interesting because it could potentially make for great matches if people are getting fed certain stats, but at the same time, you definitely are losing working that muscle in your brain where you're figuring anything out. You're just getting fed stuff to do, and then you do it, but you're not actually out there piecing it all together.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I go to USTA Nationals. We've been a bunch of times, and if you cheer for your teammate, that's considered okay. But if you say something, okay, first serve here, big fellow, Jim Santoro, get your first serve in right here. Come on, big guy, and you're cheering him on, and the official comes over and said, "That's coaching. He's disqualified if you do it again."
Yep.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, it's pretty hard to draw that line. I just think that if you're like a 5-0 player or below, there's no amount of on-court coaching that's going to determine the outcome of that match. You can't process it that fast. You can feed whatever statistics, tell them this, you got to attack their backhand or the second server is going to go here. You've got to be drilling that for weeks before you ever get into that position.
To be able to apply it?
Yeah, a good, solid club player who's competitive isn't going to be able to process on the moment. And then
A strategy adjustment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't think that they're going to adjust in a way that's going to change the outcome, with the possible exception of taking a win and putting it in a loss column because you just went out there and started thinking too much.
Right.
But well, we're talking like the higher level, but you said the lower level is
I
not.
totally understand.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the pros can assimilate that information
I
faster.
just wanna- yeah.
They've got a bigger toolbox and they can just pull
They
a
can do
different
that.
wrench out of there. But
Yeah.
club players can't do that. And
Sure.
yet we're told we can't cheer improperly.
Are those USDA rules?
The thing is,
Yeah,
that
they're
once
nice to
anyone's
USDA.
doing it, then everyone kind of has to. Because how do you play a team of people? Right.
Yeah.
You're out there and it's one-on-one.
Yeah.
But if they're getting fed all this stuff, it's almost like at some point then if you're like, well, they're doing it now, I have to do it because how else could I compete if there's 5 people that are tracking all these other stats that are going on
Yeah.
in this?
Well, and that's part of the coaching argument is these lower tier players who are on the pro tour can't afford to have a traveling entourage of statisticians. So that's unfair. You're making it easier and better for the top players who can afford all of it. So I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm curious what it's going to be in like 3-4 years, 5 years. Last thing on a tour, and then we're going to shift a little bit more to. When I was watching, it's very few players, very, very few players talking about old school tennis and now, and every time, like almost all of them, every time they lose a point or something, head goes to their team, and it's always talking to them and all stuff. I'm not sure if that's too entitled. They just either scream or complain, or it happens so much, and some of them are more inclined to that than others. But I can't think of one. Actually, Korda was one that I was watching yesterday that does not do that. Other than Fed, Nadal too. He's kind of
Right.
But
Yeah, like Alcaraz turns after every point and looks at his box.
yeah,
Every single
look at
point
all of
looks.
them. All of them. They I mean, Shapovalov.
Yeah.
Does it a lot, and it's
Runa does it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Serious
they.
looks at the other person's box.
That is but he argues his like you're not cheering for me, right? So
That's got to be coaching. Not they're giving them coaching, but that's probably the coach saying between every point,
connect with us.
connect with us, good or bad,
Yeah.
just to get you back sort of in line.
I was always told you look down at your strings, never look up. Down at
That's
your
the,
strings. Point ends down
Yeah.
at your
that's
strings.
the Sharapova.
That's a Sampras. But think about it.
That's
A
what, yeah,
Sampras.
for
He never.
Yeah.
a Sam-
Wimbledon titles.
Yeah, no, I know.
I remember
Correct.
Daniel telling me that as a kid too. Same thing. Yeah, just
But maybe that's what it is to Alcaraz and these players. It's
That
there-
becomes
it's a
that.
focal,
That's
it's a focal
exactly.
point. It's not for the coaching necessarily,
Yeah,
or
a
even
release.
for the encouragement.
Yeah.
You could have everybody in the box turn around. You could be staring at the back of their head,
Right.
But maybe it's just
Just
his focal
recenters
point.
you.
Yeah.
yeah.
Instead of going down like this. I don't know. I don't like it either. It feels weird to watch.
It's a little
player,
weird, right?
Yeah, win or lose. Like hit a great shot, and you're looking over there like, why do you need their reinforcement here?
Yeah.
You just did a great shot. If you get into a match and you look a little lost, you can picture them looking over for something.
right.
But they do it every point,
Every
regardless
point.
of outcome.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It became I think an outlet of releasing tension or whatever, finding a reason why. yeah, sometimes it's not. Because again, look back at all those guys that fed Sampras. That was never happening. They were just there by themselves, just figuring it out. So
Yeah, it would be occasional.
yeah, you have occasionally. Yeah.
Certain times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah.
But there was no way it was happening every single time.
Yeah, that was just a funny thing that I was looking
but
at.
if Serena never looked at French coach there,
Mouratoglou.
yeah, when if she never looked at him, they would have never had that blowout. But she was looking over every time, and he was hand signaling.
Yeah. Oh, that was a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. She got defaulted there, right? She got a point penalty
Yeah.
or defaulted
Right,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on to this opponent and stuff. What do you guys like reading your opponent, right? What would a club player? Somebody plays in the league, regardless what, right? You can play 3-0, 3-5, 4, 4-5. Give me some of your first 2-3 priorities on how to read your opponent, like individual, as a team, because that's big, right? So what would you tell somebody? Because people are worrying so much about what they do, and they forget about actually the real purpose of competing.
What your opponent's doing.
Yeah, a big part of it is read
Yeah.
what they're doing before you know what you're doing.
Basic. Strength, forehand, backhand.
Yeah, so you start
That's
with
the
that.
easy one.
Yeah,
Footwork, movement. How they move side to side. How they move up and back.
yeah,
That's something you'd look at. That you would tell them to do.
yeah. So that's the initial.
Yep.
Yeah. Right, because that's tendencies, right? To me, is like the biggest weapon that you have to deal with is the serve, because they're not rushed. Tendencies on a serve.
Yep.
Range on a serve. It made me think about it the other day when I was like, you see players staying in certain areas. Like, why do you do it if that player doesn't have that serve? There's no reason for you to cover a T serve if you play doubles and your opponent serves from the corner of the singles court. T has there's no way,
Correct.
no effect on you. So you can just shift a little bit more, right? Wouldn't that be a...
Yeah, I'm gonna get kicked out of this conversation pretty fast.
But that's, sometimes like, oh, you have to stay here to return, but only if somebody has both extremes of the serve.
Right.
If they don't, until they prove you they can hit that. I bet you a lot of times you can have players, let's say on the outside, if they like their forehand, to stay in the alley or outside of the alley and just hit forehands, and the person on the other side will be having a hard time serving the other team.
Eddie has people do that all the time.
Yeah.
And it
Because
works.
they can't get it out wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally standing in the alley even before. He's like, let them see if they can hit
Yep.
a serve there. And they
Yeah.
can't. Or it's just not moving fast enough that it makes a difference. You can end up getting over there, but you can
Mm-hmm.
let people stand way out there,
Yeah.
which, I guess it works.
Have your little in and out on the mic. I'm hearing you and not hearing you.
Are you listening hard enough? To me, it seems wacky to make an adjustment like that, but if it works, I guess.
Well, because we judge it from our perspective a lot of times, like, hey, somebody does that, he hit the tee.
Right. So you're saying at a level where they can't hit it. So
They have to
if
prove
you
They have to
know- if
prove
you
they can
can't-
do
right.
it
So
first.
why even?
Yeah.
Right.
To me, that's the biggest thing. They see their range first. What can and cannot do, and if somebody's range is massive, it's 25 feet,
Yeah.
then stay in the middle. But if not, favor your
Yeah.
shot that you like, and
Well, I do think a mistake that if we're talking about like that level player, maybe even some of the teams and stuff.
yeah, that's
One of
what I want to hit.
One
Yeah,
of the mistakes that they definitely make right off the bat is everybody gives their opponents way too much credit.
Yeah.
They base their decisions off people hitting way better shots back than they're actually going to hit. So they're going for more, or they're doing stuff that they don't need to based off. They're like, well, I figured they would do this. And you're like, well, did you see them do that? And I'm like, well,
Yep.
no, I was too busy missing because I was trying to hit this perfect shot to stop them from doing that. You know, that concept of like make your opponent prove to you, even on that day, they might normally
yeah,
do it. That's the problem. They all
yeah,
know each other. They play the same people, so they have a game plan even before they hit the court.
yeah.
Which, man, people have different stuff every single time they're out there. You know, see what they have that day, make them prove what they can do on that day, and then figure out what needs to be done then.
Yeah, it's a big one.
That's hard to do.
It is because people are so worried about like executing a task versus playing the game. You execute a task in practice, in your lesson, you develop something, and when you do play a match, you have to put that task to work. You're not fixing the task, right? The tool that you're developing, you're not trying to fix it there, but they're so focused on that.
Yeah, you can get caught up in your own.
Yeah.
It's unsettling when you're out there and you know you can do something that doesn't feel the way it's supposed to, and you're so busy trying to fix that, and you mean, I don't even need that today, but I've just gone down the rabbit hole of figuring out how to fix it, and really it was good. It might have even been good enough for that day to feel as good as it is on my best day. Yeah. No, but how often do you go out there and feel like you're at your absolute best?
Yeah, it's 5% of the time.
I'm way more than that. But.
Yeah, I would put that as a first thing. Or see what they can and cannot do, the best you can, and the little time that you have. Serving tendencies, obviously the +1 after the serve as a talking doubles, and is that player coming in a lot? Staying back? Do they stay back all the time on that second serve? Then drop shot or short angle becomes a massive return option, right? Do you have a poacher there? You don't. That's what you look for, right? It's not in a
I'd say
match.
even before that, make sure they can keep 3 friggin' balls
That's
in play.
yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly,
that's true.
There's at a certain level that's a
true.
major.
Yeah.
Why are you worried about all this other stuff?
Yeah.
Hit 3 balls in a row and play if they can't do that.
Yeah.
Don't
Anyway, you can,
scrap
right? We keep
everything
doing it.
else.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just do a little bit. Just talk a little split open the return, because we've been doing that in the last couple of weeks. And the second serve return. Do you think at this level, like 2.5 to 4.0 plus, do you think the down the line return is underutilized at the net player?
Yeah, I do. I would say so.
Yeah.
Especially if the down the line return is playing at the backhand volley of the net player.
Yeah.
Then absolutely. You have very little pressure on yourself at that point, because if you just get it to their backhand side, even if it's shoulder high, not going to do enough.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
But also going back to what you were saying, reading your opponent, they can't volley.
Yeah.
Right.
So why go cross court? Hit it right at the net person.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's one of the biggest battles you fight in like level 1 type clinics, or even level 2, when you're trying to train them to hit a ball cross court. And sometimes they can't, and it just goes straight ahead. Yep. But every time they do it, it works.
They win the point.
Yeah.
It works. And you're like, yeah, but you should really go cross court there. And they're like, well, it's just work 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
Carry on. Move right on.
You assume you have a good volleyer there.
Yeah.
Look, how about when you do drills where the net player knows the return is coming at them?
They still miss.
It's still bricked.
Yeah.
Correct.
And they had a heads up it was coming. So it is, until the volleyer has a certain level of skill there, it's not a bad play.
I think it's the play on medium to slow serves. Like there's no reason
the ground
to give
strokes can overwhelm the volley, especially if it's a serve, that's a little slow where they're closer. Now you cut into the reaction time they have at them.
Everything, even better than lob.
Yep.
Lob is great and it's good, and you have to test the backwards movement. But
a lob is a lot harder to hit than just driving a ball straight ahead, isn't it? Too?
True. Technically, yeah.
You got to have a little
control.
Touch, feel.
And that's another one too that's talking a little bit about that, how we often talk about them. A lot of the times we tend to look like lateral, right? Go left, go right, forehand, backhand. And when that doesn't work, why not shift the entire game to a vertical challenge to your opponents? Like literally lob for 2 games. Lob 4 out of 5 shots. And have their brain focus now on this pattern. And you took them out of the lateral pattern of, like, try to have somebody hit 10 overs in a row, man. They're gonna be tired.
Yeah.
You're gonna drain their legs. I'm like, oh, they're doing this, doing that. Like, you know what? Yes, they were beating you with that, but just lob.
Yeah.
Lob for 10 points.
I think the level that we're thinking and talking about right now, that would never cross their mind. I think that's a
To just shift to fully vertical play. Yeah.
yes. I think that's kind of that's a more advanced thing than you maybe think it is. Your brain is like, yeah, you should think about that. I think at a certain level,
The
there's
thinking of it, yes.
too many other things
Yeah.
that they're not. That is like
But it could be more efficient.
not even on their radar of something that they could do.
If that doesn't work, then you should use the off leg leaping one-handed backhand.
yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah,
It's-
I've seen it
you have
done.
to
It's
want it-
a piece of
yes.
cake, man.
Yeah.
Doesn't look hard to me at all.
Yeah, no, yeah. The simple strategies that I kind of want us to get a lot into that. So then you have people like, everybody listens to this, just get that, because that's easy. So downlight return is massive. Reading your serve, your opponent's serve, what they do, and the other thing on a serve that I think could be helpful for somebody between 2.5 and 4.5 or so that I look at often, but often don't do initially, is everyone's average bounce of their serve, because everybody has a different motion. So, like, his serve comes so low. Yeah, it's so low, right? And you have somebody else that serves bounces higher. So, like, now you could be 2 feet off on the average bounce between the two opponents. And you have to adjust your split.
You imagine you and me teaming up as a doubles team?
Yeah.
Lefty kick serve that jumps 8 feet in
Yeah.
the air.
And his,
and my
Dribbler.
Vaseline serve.
The dribbler. I know, yeah. That's Jay Ronan, right?
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
topspin flat. But I think that's reading the bounce of the serve. That's a big one. Obviously it's a concept that it's not that easily, and you only do it if you can't read that serve. But that can help a returner, and that's especially when you play on grass, wide and low. Man, don't come off that, or fast courts.
Yeah. Well, some of that depends on, from the server's perspective, on the returner too, right? I mean, who you have on the other side there, their
Of what
size,
they do. If you can do that, yeah. But now we're talking like a highlight. But I'm talking in general. People like that do it. Like a 3-5 player has their own serve. They have their little slice, their little cutter, whatever they do. That's kind of theirs.
right.
They do it just because that motion is creating that shot. Their partner might have a different serve. The ball bounces high. That could give a returner a bad returning day because the extremes are.
Oh, definitely.
They're off, and like, I don't know what's happened. Well, you weren't working on the range that you used to. You had two extremes. So I think that's something that if you have a bad returning day, you could look at the range, the lateral range, but also like the bounce of that ball. It could help. And usually it's the low part. It's not the high, it's the low. As when the ball goes below your point of comfort to hit that return, stays below that, you'll pop up on that.
I got sweaty just thinking about Mike's. I hate that serve.
That serve is yeah.
Quick delivery too.
It's very fast, yeah.
I guess 14 times before he's hit. And the time that he tosses before he hits, I'm like, and then it comes by me and I do nothing.
Yeah.
Like, good serve.
You know what's also quick with hit serve? The second serve, he misses the first because he's got the hand ready.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody carries two balls in their hand.
No,
anymore.
it's not 1974. No one does that.
No.
Actually, you want to know who does do that? Alessandra.
She does.
that
That's
right?
right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. That's
There you
right.
go.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, she does do that.
I've heard some of the ladies in the past talk about that, and we're wondering if it was legal. Worried about figuring out strategies.
Yeah, if they're both, yeah, that is.
You really don't see anyone do that, though.
No.
I remember way back in
It
the
was
day,
definitely-
it was more of a thing. But I remember when Yvonne Goolagong-Colley used to start with two balls in her hand, toss it in the air. For first serve went in, she threw the second one behind her, and that wasn't
That's
illegal.
not
That
legal.
was
Yeah.
that wasn't illegal for
Back then.
years.
Well, I remember that.
players,
Now that you
players
just say that-
complained about it, and that's what they developed that little cup that you.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
right, yeah.
Sanchez Vicario used to wear that.
Exactly.
Yeah, Rancha.
That little
Exactly.
cup,
But
yeah.
they used to
Yeah.
take the second ball and just throw it behind them. I did that in the juniors.
Why not just
Keep
Put
it
one
in your hand.
pocket.
Yeah. Or at the pro level, there's a ball person. Turn around and get the ball from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Careful,
That
you got
was-
to be
that
very
was
gentle
not-
with them, though.
Yeah.
To me, that seems like a hectic way to start the point.
Yeah.
Like you've just made a serve. Now you're like getting rid of your ball and then starting. Give me a break.
Yeah.
It's hectic enough.
Right.
There's already a ball coming at me. I got to be clearing my mess from here.
Now that you say that we used to play like that initially, but then I don't know when and how it disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah. It eventually did. I
We got
think it was-
pockets.
Yeah.
I think we got pockets. We
Yeah. They
Or
brought-
people just started using.
They brought pockets to Romania. It was a
Yeah.
big day.
yeah, massive.
It's funny.
Short shorts,
even with
no pockets.
pockets, sometimes it drives me insane. You see people use the wrong pocket.
Yeah.
Oh, the opposite.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
And then they miss.
They put
Now
it in
they're
their
switching
dominant
hands.
hand.
And
Yep.
they're pulling out.
Yeah.
They're switching back.
Dominant
and
hand,
3 minutes later, they hit a second serve. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, what are you doing? You get a pocket on the other side. That's the way it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put your hands in your pockets like this when you're walking. You know, you don't cross them. You go here. Put it free hand. Ball in that
Yeah.
pocket.
I couldn't because I always had the third ball in my pocket. I got two in my hand. I got one in my pocket.
Oh yeah, you do like
Just
all
to be
three.
safe,
Yeah.
I like all three.
And if we're being,
He's a particular
if we're being
fellow.
totally honest too, those shorts you wore so tiny. I'm not even sure a tennis ball could fit in that pocket. There was no way you weren't even fitting one ball in there. The thing was hanging out practically. There's no way. Those
Yeah.
things.
All right, so we cover serving height, serving range, return down the line, see what they're doing, coming in or not. What else would you do prior? Let's say you have a 3-day clinic with somebody, strategy. So what people should look for, right? That's basically read your opponents. What do you do?
I mean, this is your thought. You have no more thoughts.
Oh, I do,
Yeah.
but I don't want to keep
Well,
throwing
that's okay.
thoughts.
Get it rolling. Sometimes more thoughts happen from when things are rolling.
Net player movement, right? Servers.
Yeah, it's kind of based on hitting down the line, though, isn't it?
No, you being the service partner.
Oh,
And being active at the net and like taking that position of being ready. And I think it's the mentality of, I think a lot of times people feel they have to stay there, but you are the most aggressive player on the court there. And you have to be it and act like it, even if you don't make it. You're super active there to keep that return of guessing, right? 'Cause I think that's another thing that's just, it can draw so many missed returns
yeah.
just being active. I think that's just another simple thing that you can do when you don't have
Yeah.
that much say in the first two shots of the point. Because serve and return, they have to happen, but you do have a lot to say, and your movement will steal that returner's eye. So again, it's a simple thing that you can do without the ball to draw those errors.
Yeah, that's something that doesn't happen.
Doesn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen
At a
it
certain level,
countless
people
times
are-
in like ladies' clinics or team coaching. One of the women has to leave 15 minutes early, whatever, go pick up her kid. So one of the pros will jump in,
Yep.
and they'll start missing returns
Yep.
because they're afraid of what the pro might do, even
Yeah.
though the pro
Right.
had no intentions of moving a muscle.
Right.
Was hoping
Right.
not to get involved.
Yes.
in
Yeah.
any way.
Wasn't even in the
But
correct
they're- Yeah,
hands,
but
the
they're
racket.
looking at, they're checking to see, I think Kev's going to move this time, so I better go for like my best shot ever.
Right.
There's just the threat of a move would cause a move.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you see better players, you watch them on TV, watch the pros, they're always moving around. They're figuring,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Kev's as good as the guy on TV. So,
Right.
they just
He is.
random misses. Because they're not thinking of the return anymore.
Right.
They're thinking of the person at the net who might.
That
do something.
happens so much. What might happen?
Right.
I call it tennis anxiety. You create a future that hasn't happened yet,
Right.
and you try to avoid it.
Right. And it's based on giving your opponent too much credit.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're worried about stuff that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does happen a lot. Yeah, you're right. We sometimes do on that same line. I do a drill like you feed a ball to just one player on the other side. Nobody's on the court. So I feed a ball from the side, and have to play. Okay, put this ball away, and they do it. And then I feed the exact same ball, and I move into the court. It's still the same ball,
Yeah.
and you see misses
Right.
because something changed in the field of vision, but nothing really changed between them and the ball.
Right.
That's when
Except
like
they feel you
yeah.
coming back in.
And they know you
Right.
steal their eye, you steal their attention, and that's when, that's the first thing they're like. See, this is what happens. Just
Right.
really, you and the ball. I didn't enter your side of the court. I didn't steal your ball. I just enter your thinking. So that's what the net player would do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can do that besides even actually crossing or moving. You can just physically.
Yep.
You can just alter your position where you're setting up.
Right.
Be a little closer. Be over to
Yep.
the middle more. Be whatever. Just like give someone a different
Yep.
visual, and they'll spin out in ways that you couldn't even imagine. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
And
a
that's-
tendency for people, like some of the ladies teams we ran into this year. There's teams out there that their net player is so close to
On
the
top of the net.
unbelievably close, where it makes it impossible to get a ball by them cross court. When you watch teams go cross court for so long and never even think about just they're better going to the ball than they can't get out of the way of it, or even lobbing. But when you're up there, it is your coverage is. So if you're just occasionally mixing, I'm not doing it all the time, it would be able to pick off so many shots would be like right there for you.
Yeah. No, those are all like easy. I think easy things to do. Easy things.
It's easy to
be
get locked
fun.
in there, though. You don't even think.
Yeah.
But even out for turns, people don't even adjust their position. You
Yep.
forget to, they're just like, you're in, this is where I set up. You forget that it's a different, even against different servers.
Do you think
Even serving real soft, you're like, why are you standing there? Like, well, this is where I always stand.
Do you think
Where
it's,
you always stand.
Yeah, you're right. But do you think it comes also with maybe when they learn something that the focus so much on their technique and tactics that the ratio of play versus learn is a little off? Like here's an example. You go and you want in an hour, somebody comes in and you want to teach him, we'll do forehands, backhand, serves, all that stuff. So it's all information intake by them, right? But then the other part of tennis is also learning how to compete, how to play. Maybe play with them for 20 minutes instead of teaching them those extra 20 minutes. So you teach them for 40, 30, and play with them for 20 or 40. It's actually more beneficial at times than shoving information that they now try to process and do, but having very little expertise into playing. Because they have to be comfortable to play you first. Doesn't matter how they hit the ball. So you think that could change a little bit?
Possibly.
No? No?
Yeah, when I would do private lessons especially with ranked tournament players,
Yeah.
I would always set aside 15, 20 minutes to play points against me.
Yeah.
Maybe with either an advantage or disadvantage that we had worked in that lesson. Maybe you only get your second serve, and you got to play at a point with only your second serve or whatever.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's
yeah, I
that's
think
a big
that's-
one. That it's a lot of information intake, but not processing in a live play. And then sometimes they might try to do that in a real match, but they don't have the
Frame of reference of ever doing it.
yeah.
I used to would do it in the opposite. If I had kind of a new pupil, maybe a kid was in clinics for years, I kind of knew their game. Maybe I didn't know him at all.
Yeah.
The first 20 minutes, we'd play points. It's like
we touched up on that.
oh, did
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
It's
No,
like
that's good. Yeah,
It's like when you get a flat tire on your bicycle,
Yeah.
you put a patch on it, and you pump it up, and you hold it underwater, and you look for the bubbles.
yeah,
You're looking for the weaknesses in that person's game, and wherever the
Display, yeah.
weakest point is, that's where the bubbles are coming from. So, if
Right.
I hit a slice approach shot and come into the net, and they poop their pants. Well, I think we know where the weakness is.
Yep.
You got to work on your passing shots and how to address that in a lesson. But it gives you the framework for the next 40 minutes of learning.
yeah. I think that's something because I was looking at it and again making a reference a little bit to me learning something different in jiu-jitsu, and there's not one day that there's rolling at the end. You're rolling in the beginning, break down parts of it, and you roll at the end. So it's not because you always have to do. You always got to be able to apply those things and do it. And I mean, we do it at times here too. I'm not saying we don't, but sometimes that balance could be off. That
It's hard in a coaching session, like 2 pros, 8 ladies,
Yeah.
2 courts. Very hard to interject that into it. It's got to be more, even going out with 2 ladies in a semi-private lesson, it's hard to fake that foursome on a court.
Yeah.
Right.
you
can-
almost do groups of 3. Now they say that's probably the best. Not groups of 4, groups of 3. When the
Right.
pro is one of the players that can control that play, that's probably the way Jade actually did that. I thought I forgot about that. It was on my. I think Jay had a playing lesson of 3+1.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's something that we
yeah.
can think of.
South Shore. I remember that.
You remember that one?
Years ago. I do
So he
remember
was
that.
doing a 3+. Just literally, he's there for 90 minutes with
And
them,
just playing with them.
just playing with them.
Yeah.
Let's think about that. That could be something that I want to try in the fall, just as a test.
And you just
Play scenarios,
you
rotate with them.
do you think they set up like he was just talking certain scenarios and you played out of those, or you just played and while you were playing, whatever popped up, you just
I think it could be a
Could be
variety of
either.
things.
Could
Yeah.
be either.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, hey, we need 90 minutes to work on just poaching. And then you're the returner, you're the server with them, you can do all that. Might not be a bad idea, actually.
Yeah.
There you go. Something came
I
out
had
of it.
forgotten about that 3+1. that
Yeah,
you
the
did.
3+1.
Yeah, it's pretty smart.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've never even heard.
Because again, there's a lot of 2-on-2, but
Yep.
it's so much. I mean, it's night and day how you can control a scenario. Like
Yeah.
you can control being the primary hitter or even the secondary hitter there. Yeah,
I
we'll
see
try-
you do that a lot in your lessons with Sig and those guys. You'll play into points with them. So, they get to say, "Oh, look how good Larry moves." Well, Larry moved.
Right.
Well, it's typically because one of them is out of gas.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you
But
might be editing this out because sort of the players that I have to deal with, because I do have to take a little bit more control because they can't control that. So
yeah, but that can
but
that
using
can
that in a
extrapolate,
higher
yeah.
level, I think that is a good way to do it.
Think about if one of us plays with some
I agree.
A2s, some A4s, and you just
Yeah.
literally just play, and you stop them like, hey, here's what happened there.
Correct.
Do this, do that.
yeah, but I meant to.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah,
but
Yeah, but
that's
I
a
think
good
they-
one. I think we're
they
just gonna try that.
They can almost get more out of that than some. I think sometimes
Yep.
in the coaching session they have a hard time
Yeah,
figuring out like what you're working on, how it actually
yeah,
applies to while they're
translate, yeah.
playing. But like when you're playing, you can just stop it right after the point. Be
Yeah.
like right there, and it just happens. So it makes sense a little bit more than when you're like talking about a scenario and being like, "This is where we're at," so this happens, and they're like, it can be a hard thing to connect the dots. I think sometimes.
yeah. Oh, well, we're testing that out.
There it is.
We got one.
Broke new ground.
Jay's like, I did this like 5 years ago. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. He moved on to pickle now.
Yeah.
Moved to pickle coaching. I was in the text with him doing the French, and he was texting me and Seth, and he was like, just came over a 2-hour pickle clinic.
Bed
But
Bath and Beyond.
you can learn pickle in 15 minutes.
I know, but
What did we do with the other hour and 45?
You're a master. A pickle Jedi. Holy shit.
all right, let's hit a little bit on the juniors and the need for conditioning. Like different levels of conditioning. Not, but you need we talked about needing your basic skills, athletic skills, and then you have your mid range. I'm not even top level junior, and I think that's such an overlooked part on the junior end to develop the strength and conditioning. Don't you think, though? How we used to be 30 years ago? Were you doing a lot with them, or?
Well, you remember the clinics back in the day at Winchester. The first
Yeah.
thing is Lloyd Thomas would whistle, and everybody would drop their rackets, turn to the right, and we would run around all 6 courts, multiple laps,
Yeah.
and have some sprints. And then we'd go meet on court 1. We'd go through a 10-minute stretching thing. We didn't hit balls for the first
Yeah.
like half hour of a 2-hour clinic. It was a part of everything. And then the game was you get one serve, you put it in the box. You miss the serve, you have to sprint to the net and back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an eye roll. Nobody eye rolled.
No, you just did it.
Yeah.
You didn't even ask.
Yeah.
Not
you
to do
you
it
miss
or
a
no
forehand,
one-
hit the
yeah.
ground, do 10 push-ups. Yeah, there wasn't even a thought like, well, why should I do 10 push-ups? That's just the rule. You just did it.
right
Yeah.
now. That's
So
Trust me, I was like up in my room. I'm like, Dad, I can't find my socks. He's like, I got a pair down here. Put them on. We're going. I'm like, how can I be there at 21 past? But it makes a difference. And you get, you do try to do some of that stuff today and you get eye rolls, and the people that aren't eye rolling, the effort, like you can only control someone's effort
Yes.
Correct.
so much.
You don't do as much as
That
you
what am I
wanna
going to
do.
what am I going to
Yeah.
what else
Yeah.
can I do? I can ask
Yeah.
you to do it. Beyond that, what else?
Yeah.
I'm going to scream at you. I'm going to hit a tennis ball. What can I do?
Right.
In that situation you're talking about, people not only did it, they tried their hardest.
Yeah.
Like looking around, I'm like, I don't want to be the last
Right.
guy to finish.
Yeah.
That was enough right there. I'm like, I just don't want to be the last guy. I hope there's someone a step slower than me.
Yeah,
You
we'd
know?
have all 6 courts full, so
Yeah.
24 players, and one guy did something Lloyd didn't like. He would whistle. Everybody dropped their racket, sprint in a circle until you get back to your racket again. Last guy did their racket, got to run one more. You didn't,
Right,
you didn't want
right,
to be last.
right,
But everybody, like one guy messed up and 23 people paid for it.
right,
So you just did it.
right.
It wasn't, we 10 times up and back from
Yeah.
the net. You wanted to finish first.
Yeah.
You sure didn't want to finish last. So you're sprinting like hell and barely touching the net. And
I had the big last step.
yeah.
Trying to run, and also on that last step, I'm like, so I'm not. I was being like, yeah. Oh, but it wasn't last. I think I touched before Dave over there.
Bad hips.
Yeah, I think today comes from a whole different animal.
Well, you took us to the gym occasionally too.
yeah.
But see, that's
a bunch of kids to the
CMK,
gym.
whatever it
CMK
is, that
Nautilus,
place.
yeah.
We used to. That was like,
Yeah.
that was built in a little bit. You
Right,
take a few
yeah.
of us over there, and we'd be seeing us through
yeah.
weightlifting and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
You look bigger.
I
too.
got.
You look
Thank
bigger.
you. Yeah, I got away from that program. But,
Yeah, but I think you're coming from a whole different animal today, and we can talk forever about what happened. But at this point, nobody coming through programs, junior programs, is going to do anything more with their tennis than be a quality recreational player would kind of be
yeah.
towards the top. Maybe
Yeah, yeah.
play club tennis in college. Ryan Stolar's a nice young man, but he was
Yep.
never had aspirations for pro tour. He didn't even want to play college ball. He played club tennis. It's good. He's happy
Yep.
with that.
Right.
And it's a game he'll have forever.
right,
But-
and can play at a pretty good
Yeah,
level.
he
But
sure does. He sure,
Yeah.
and he's going to continue to improve for the next 10 years because
'cause he has
he'll work on his game. He'll try,
Right.
And he
get
has the
better.
tools to be able to improve. You're right.
Right,
Yeah.
but he's also a kid who's built some level of physical fitness and whatnot
Yep.
into his lifestyle, and I think that's really all you're trying to get with a lot of these kids. A lot of kids that come in here, but generally they show up at a tennis club. They could be a little overweight. They're not in very good condition. I watched this kid from the Salem College team, Salem State College team, come in here. They came in on a rain day, and he dusted a whole bag of Doritos
right,
for warm up, and then went out and played. So he's not setting a good life tone.
right,
Forget going to college on a scholarship. I want to be on the tour.
Yeah.
We're not teaching to that. We're trying to teach, hopefully, at least in some small way, an appreciation for your own body and try to just treat it better.
Right.
Try to get stronger. Try to be a little more flexible. Try to improve a little bit your diet. Drinking the last little bit of a bag of Doritos before a match. Everybody else is at least stretching.
He's the flavor crystals down the bottom now.
Oh, are you kidding me with
Well,
that?
I mean, we talk about, never mind even off court, if you're coming, there's even our kind of lower level beginner, advanced beginner kind of clinics, you're still playing a sport, and there's a portion of kids that will come in their school clothes, like in a flannel and khakis. Like nothing says I'm not going to really think about moving like a pair of pants. Like never mind going out and doing it. They're not even dressed to do it. Step one would be like show up in some sweatpants or shorts and some, not a pair of school shoes or something. It's like that's not even, it's not even on their radar that they're going to be doing, never mind any extra off court stuff.
I think it's also, you go ahead.
Why for, I guess, higher levels, why couldn't we push that into our program?
That's what I'm
What's
saying. I
stopping
think to
us?
some
'Cause,
extent we do have to try to keep doing it. We do it at level 4. I mean, we do have those guys run into some.
I could see what you're saying, Mike. I think it's sort of like I think it's a culture thing too. And for my high school team, that's all I do. I do a lot of stuff that you say. This is what we're working on. If you mess up, the whole team runs. And I go through that. I don't know if that's something we should try, but is that something you could do in our clinics? Because I'll play devil's advocate, because I hear this from a lot of parents.
Yeah.
It's like, my son's not here to pick up tennis balls. My son's not here to run. They're here to learn tennis.
Oh, of course. I think that's what we shifted from.
I think that's the issue.
Are we allowed to make the parent run a lap?
But no, seriously, there's some people. One of the parents I deal with from my high school team is like, yeah, I don't want my son down there practicing and picking up balls and doing that. That's not what he's there for. I want him to hit hundreds of balls and then just leave, and then the coaches pick up the balls. Like, whew. What type of precedent are you?
Right.
Yeah, no, seriously.
It's hard to
of the-
count how much is wrong there. It's hard to count.
Some of these parents, they say that. Why is my child wasting 15 minutes on the court picking up balls? They should be hitting more tennis balls.
That parent
Like,
doesn't need to worry
seriously?
because with that attitude, their kid's not picking up any fucking balls to begin with, anyways.
But that's
They're honest.
I think
They've
that's
been
sort of
fed
the battle
that, so they're like they're
we will
watching
deal with.
everybody
I'm not
else
saying
pick up tennis
where
balls.
what's right or what's wrong, but that's a battle I think
Yeah.
we deal with because of the culture
Right.
of what these parents are telling their kids what's right and what's wrong.
Some of them, not, I don't think all.
I'm
I think
not
people
saying
will-
all.
No, some
Correct.
of them do that, and you see it. And I think it was always like that, but it's what culture you create, and I think
Correct.
it's also like we have some sort of responsibility to
I agree.
get them going.
Yeah.
Not us, but individually, but just as a coaching
Correct.
group. But it's definitely has gone away, and it's gone away also from at least from also our need to really, the way I look at it, at least from my perspective, you do want to give them as much of the product of the tennis that
Right.
they
you
came
have a
here
limited
for.
you have a limited amount of
Yeah.
time with them.
But I think it's important to find that, okay, but 20% of that product should be conditioning. Otherwise,
Because then they can't hit the other shots.
to get you better at that. Now, is that enough? Probably not. Probably not. 15 minutes of an hour and a half is not necessarily enough, but it's something, and then can create some sort of precedent for them to do it on their own. But yeah, that's why I want to bring this up, because I think we can do a better job with that, and to change the shift, and everybody else that does it. And I think also the kids will benefit so much out of it. And even if you don't do it here, do it somewhere else. But it's not. It almost became that I'm doing tennis, so that's my exercise. Well, yeah, but we have to.
You did a clinic earlier in the year. Remember that one where there weren't that many kids there, and they were chasing down all those balls. It wasn't even just running; it was just points, putting them all under pressure situations.
Oh my God!
Dude,
yes, yeah.
11 minutes into that clinic, kids were like, they looked scared. They were like looking up at me, like, "What's happening here?" And they, rubber legs while they were walking and stuff like
they
that.
still talked about that
Yeah.
months later.
Yeah.
It was the most they ever run. Yeah.
Oof.
Meanwhile, when I was in that clinic, we did it for the whole time.
That's true. That's right. You were in the clinic when we were running. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just remember that class. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that's not that far off. It's a common effort. I think it's on them and on us and parents and everything. Movement is so important, man.
Yeah.
You just
One of my favorite drills to do with like 4 high-end kids, and you really need 4 to do it, okay, but you can do it with less, but it's brutal, is you just yell out and fill a ball hopper, run around, fill the ball hopper. Then you have them get around you. I stand in the tee, I take the ball hopper, flip it upside down so they all pour out all over me, and I put the hopper down. 1 ball at a time, as fast as you can, sprint and pick up every ball and drop it in the basket. So and of course they pick up the ones that are 2 feet away, and then as they're more tired, the ball's 20 feet away.
Of course,
And
yeah.
as fast as you can, man, pick up every single, but you can only get 1 at a time. Sprint to a ball, drop it in. Sprint to a ball, drop it in. God, the kids hated me.
That's how Gavin used to, at our Sunday clinic, that's how Gavin used to have us pick up the balls.
Where'd he learn that?
Not when I was working, when I was in that
In the
you were
clinic,
in
yeah.
that clinic. And
Yeah.
by the way, you'd warm up, sloppy warms.
And you're
You'd
sloppy.
empty
Correct.
out those baskets. There'd be hundreds of balls out there.
Right.
Move the carts to the baseline and 1 ball at a time, sprinting
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
time, doing it.
It does 2 things. You get physical exercise, but you get back to hitting balls sooner because you just hustled. You got a nice full basket. It didn't take 15 minutes to refill it.
That's a good
These
point.
kids are walking around,
Yeah.
or they go back to the curtain. They're shooting hoops into the basket. And they're
You do
never
that
hitting.
today, and they get the balls up, and you're like, all right, well, see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Clinic's over.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
We'll try to
Yeah.
get that time a little faster next week.
It made me think when with seeing the little kids at jiu-jitsu, man. It's 15-20 minutes of just that before the class even starts, like army crawls and all that, backwards running and sidestep and all that stuff, like so much physicality. And I'm like, why do we get away from that? So
I hope the pendulum is swinging back.
yeah, we shouldn't.
Starting with your kid.
Yeah.
River's going to swing it back.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Alrighty, should we call it, boys? It's a good one, Mike.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. I don't know
Thanks
if
for
I
coming,
contribute, but I love
You
being
did.
a part of it.
That's it. All right. Well,
Perfect.